This is my dog, Maisie. Maisie. She's ignoring me. Today, Maisie rolled on a dead frog. So I went on Google and I wanted to know why on earth would my dog roll on a dead frog? And it went into how this is some leftover stuff from their wolf days. It's a trait that's carried on. And it set me to thinking about some things. You know, when I was growing up, sometimes the house that I was in was quite volatile. My mom was a good mom, but she was also a stressed mom because she was dealing with 4 kids, working in factories that were normally more for men. She was the first woman to work at the Bluebird body plant in Fort Valley, Georgia. I believe before that she had worked at Spyline. My mom could do anything. She could sew and she could work and cut the rubber that goes around bus windows or Wonder Lodge windows in an RV. But having 4 kids and not getting very much, if any at all, child support, and constantly being undermined by a dad that wanted to come in and visit the kids every once in a while, I'm sure she was stressed because I was born in the 60s, right? And for a woman to be a divorcee during that time, she was considered hot to trot, right? Well, as a kid, I made some opinions about my mom that were not so nice. When I was around 11, my mom got married. And we went to Florida. And I remember when we crossed the state line, we stopped at a rest station. And back in the day, they served little bitty cups of orange juice to people arriving in Florida. I'm sure that would be too expensive nowadays. But I remember drinking that orange juice and thinking, this is so delightful. We didn't have orange juice in our house because it was too expensive. And I made up my mind right then and there that when I got older and I had children, I was going to give my children orange juice every day. It's so funny how things play out because, wouldn't you know, my kids, I guess because of the readily available orange juice, they didn't appreciate orange juice. They'd rather have something else. But thinking about back to that dog rolling on the dead frog, you know, there's so much that are carried down, passed down in the family. Just like that dog has traits that are inherited. We humans inherit things. You hear talk about family curses or stuff like that. And just being raised in the South, there's a lot of trauma in our DNA. And I swear, I think that we can feel that. But being raised the way I was, and my daddy, I don't know, I don't even remember how many times he was married and divorced, but he was always with a woman, whether he was married to her or not. And he was quite the looker and quite the joker, quite the hot and cold. If I had to guess, I'd say quite the bipolar. But these things do carry on. And so when you're trying to be a mom, you have all of these loving things that you do, getting ready for baby and getting the nursery in order and thinking about how you want to raise your baby. Like I said, the orange juice, even though it was a childish thought, I did want to make sure that as I raised my children, that I told them every single day that I loved them. When you have all of these ideas, though, you come into a marriage and you blend your history with his history, and you don't account for your own friction in your marriage, how these things can railroad any thoughts and plans that you may have. He has his own thoughts and plans on how he wants to do things. And then you throw in sin and mental illness and addictions, and all of these things cause more and more trauma. And so, just like that dog mindlessly rolling on the dead frog, sometimes we are mindlessly doing things to ourselves and to our children based on our DNA and our family history. We will be doing things and we won't even know why. And so I just sit back and I think about what I wanted to do and what actually happened. And those are two different things. I loved each and every one of my children, but because of family traits, trauma, friction, alcoholism, sin, obsessions, the best laid plans can be destroyed by good old Satan. And so now, here I am, a mom that no longer has contact with my oldest daughter and my youngest daughter. It was two different situations because it was two different daddies and three different men. And you hear my son blowing his nose in the background. I guess he doesn't realize I'm in here filming. But yeah, no matter what you plan on happening, you never plan on all of the bad stuff. And so I guess what I'm here to say is that, again, I loved all of my children, but sometimes we are just like that dog rolling on the dead frog. Love you, and I'll talk to you later.